Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce, joined by two of my comrades here tonight, Mr. Tyler Edmonds and Joey Ricotta. Gentlemen, hello. How are you? And what's up?
I'm good, man. I tell you this, Ron. I'm in a lot better mood than I was last episode. You know that.
That's good.
And I'll just go ahead and say I may have overreacted a little bit because nothing's set in stone yet. But anyways, I'm good, man. Joey, dude, I feel like I haven't talked to you since maybe the end of last season. It's good to see you, man.
It's kind of wild, huh? Like just little text interactions.
It's been a legit hashtag. Where's Joey? And here he is.
Where are we, man? That's why my tagline. It's good to see you guys. I appreciate that we get to do this every time that we get to do it, and truly a blessing that we're here every time we are, and that we're CubsCon. Like finally something to do, man. Like sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'll be honest with you guys. Obviously, monitoring what's happening with the Cubs and who they pick up, who they trade, things like that. But outside of Roki Sasaki, and now that's kind of, I'm sure we'll get into it. But outside of that, I really haven't been as enamored with the day-to-day stuff as like the rumor mill. Usually you get down the weeds and the rumors and stuff, and I haven't been that way this offseason. In a way, it's been kind of refreshing because like I really feel like, I don't know, it's done my brain and my soul a little bit of good here. Like
There's a lot less optimism of getting too high for the high. Is that what you're insinuating, Joey?
I'm not too high for anything, and I'm not too low at this point either, which is probably a good thing. But the high part of me, and I'm not smoking, but like the high part of me is like CubsCon is this weekend, and we've done this now 2 years in a row, and it's going to be a great time. So like
3 years in a row.
This is the third year, right?
Third year.
Okay, sorry, my bad. So that's what I was trying to say. Was we did 2 years.
It's just that you barely remember last year.
Yeah, that's true. We did. Yeah, won't get into that, but we had a good time. I'll put it that way.
We did.
All things fun and all things good. And gentlemen, that's what we're on the microphones to talk about tonight. Is the Cubs convention. We're going to be there this weekend. Obviously, we are all super duper excited. The annual get together at CubsCon. We are one man short, but we will have a guest joining us as a part of our, our posse, I suppose, throughout the course of the full weekend. It's going to be all kinds of fun. Very, very, very excited. And gents, Tyler, you started the 5 must-haves for Cubs convention. Maybe this is a great place to get the conversation off the ground. You want to dive into that with us here and what your 5 things you're looking forward to are?
Just to cheaply plug my article I wrote. So yeah, like you said, Joe, this will be our 3rd time going, and the first time, everybody remembers the first time was an experience in itself just because it's the first time. And so you're seeing how everything operates. You're seeing, just you get to experience all the cool little things that you experience at CubsCon. And so, yeah, after these 2 that we've been to, and just looking at what's gone on this off season, last year, and just going off the whole vibe in the Cubs fan base room, so to say. Yeah, I made a list of 5, you could call them must-haves, or 5 expectations that I have. And so, yeah, I'll go over it real quick. My first one, and we talked about this pre-show, probably not going to get what we want out of it, but my first one was Tom Ricketts needs to answer questions. And I'm not just talking about, hey, Tom, how was your weekend? Hey, Tom, how's your winter been? And blah, blah, blah. No, I'm talking the tough hitting. what everybody's been talking about all off season, all year last year, the why this, why that, whether it has to do with spending, whether it has to do with, well, why does it feel like Jed is handcuffed and with what he can and can't spend, and why are you guys just fumbling the bag on a possible extension with Kyle Tucker and all this kind of stuff, everything that everybody's been going on in X-Land with. Tom Ricketts needs to answer questions. But as you all know, if you've downloaded the app, that may happen to an extent, but I highly doubt it just because, as you guys said, the Tom Ricketts reception is going to be at the steakhouse at the hotel. I'm assuming you probably got to buy dinner and all that kind of stuff. So do you guys know anything about that?
Do not know anything about that, but I will say this, Tyler, to piggyback on some shameless plugging here. I wrote about the fact that this is the second year in a row we don't hear a Ricketts panel or a business panel. Now, they say engagement numbers, there wasn't a ton of people there. They also put them at weird hours of the day. It was like 8 and 2, the worst time slots imaginable. So they didn't get a lot of participation, and they axed them. But I think there's a large population of people that want to hear from Tom, and more than just over a cocktail.
Yeah.
Like up in the front, addressing just kind of what's going on with the team. Even if it is really political and dumbed down and not completely satisfactory, right? You feel like you at least want the guy to get up there and, I guess, plead his case, for lack of a better word.
And it's not a surprise. It's so Tom Ricketts to have this reception at a steakhouse. And again, I don't know the details of it. The details aren't really wrote in the app. All it says is from 4:30 to 6:30, there is a reception with Tom. Come talk to Tom, blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming, just my assumption, you probably have to sit down and actually buy a dinner. And I'm going to assume he probably walks around as if he's like the head chef or something. How was your meal tonight? How's your weekend going? Ha ha ha, that kind of stuff. I got a feeling that's probably, if I had to bet, that's probably what it's going to be. And I really want to, kind of like it's been in the past with the operations panels and stuff. I want the lines out the damn door outside, wrapped around the hotel, that kind of stuff. But as we know, that's not going to happen. So that was number one on my list, was Tom Ricketts needs to answer questions. But
is he, do you guys know, is he the only thing that's happening at the steakhouse, or is there anything else that's like?
There might be one or two other things happening there. I haven't looked in enough detail just yet.
Yeah,
I did find things that I don't remember
anything. I was just curious because I don't remember them doing like anything really in the steakhouse area before, and to me that would just be weird if he's the only thing happening in there. And then to me, I just started thinking the way that you're thinking, Tyler. Like, why not? If you're going to answer one person's question, why not let everybody hear what their question is and your response to that question? Because there's a lot of people that might have some better questions than, like, I feel like one-on-one, if he's answering questions like that, even if they don't just say, oh, how's your night? And they, like, as soon as they see him, they're like, are you going to spend money?
Yeah.
Are you going to do what it takes? Like, you're answering to one person.
Oh yeah.
Instead of a group of masses, and it's like it's easier for him to skate off,
And maybe he'll put him on the spot, when you ask him, are you going to spend money? It's, oh, well, let me get your dinner for you. And it's, okay, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. He's like you said, he's like the chef that comes out, or the owner comes out and just starts like slapping the back of your chair. How are you guys doing tonight?
I feel like that's exactly what it's going to be. But I've skimmed the app, which, by the way, if you haven't, go ahead, and this looks a lot more convenient than, I feel like last year, we had like a paper or something, or you could take a picture of I think they would share it on Twitter and stuff, but this, it looks pretty convenient. But no, I don't see anything else so far that is at the steakhouse. So I'm going to assume that's probably the only thing at the steakhouse. But anyways, second must-have, second expectation. And I talked about, it's also something that I'm most excited about seeing this weekend, is the Sammy Sosa Hall of Fame announcement. That has to be. That's the number one. If you're a betting, I know Joey, you're a betting person. The odds of that has to be like what?
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty damn
it
good.
has to be like that has to be that has to be a thing. Like, and I expect it, and I think everybody else expects it. Hall of Fame announcement. I think the lights are going to go out. They're going to show the video. I want to see Tom, and I want Tom to almost. I do and I don't. I kind of want Tom to introduce him, but at the same time, I want him to maybe they like embrace and he, you know, and I know this isn't going to happen. Hey, Sammy, I'm sorry for basically, you know, ignoring you for the past several years. I know that's not gonna happen. That's asking way too much, but at least expect the Hall of Fame announcement and maybe even is a statue announcement.
They should do a statue along with it.
Like
but-
Tyler,
like
I'll do you one better. What if he is the Hall of Fame member and they announce that on Friday night at the opening ceremony, and then on Saturday when he sits down with Ian Happ on the compound live, they
There
tell
you
him
go.
he's getting his jersey number retired.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. But yeah, that's another that I mean that has to happen, and that's not to throw. And you know what? I wouldn't be. I originally I think in the article I said you know he should be the only one, but if Derek Lee's going, throw in Derek Lee too. He's going to be there unless they want to save him for next year. But yeah, the Sammy Sosa Hall of Fame announcement that's probably the biggest expectation and the biggest. I mean, it should be a guarantee. It really should be. And it wouldn't shock me also because if we've seen what's happened in the past with the Kyle Tucker and are they going to arbitration? Are they not? Hey, we still got some money left to spend. Are you guys going to spend money before going over the first tax threshold and all this kind of stuff? And I feel like they would just use this would be the perfect opportunity to just say, wait a minute, Sammy Sosa's going to our Hall of Fame. Here he is. Shut up and stop asking me about spending, you know, and all that. So I feel like it is a guarantee.
That's the one reason why I can't even get as hyped as I normally would be about
Right?
Because, like, dude, I was the biggest Sammy Sosa fan growing up. And yeah,
Right.
you're right, Tony. I do need more trees behind me. I'd rather be on a freaking beach right now and then the trees from the forest behind me and not over here with miserable cold weather and dealing with this. But good thing it's not going to snow this year. Last year was miserable driving to
Yeah, it
Chicago
was.
for CubsCon. I hated that. So knock on wood, Friday, no snow. That's not wood, that's glass. We'll find it somewhere. I can't get as excited about this as I normally would, man. And like, that's the one thing that's like, because the team is not like we should really be fighting for more in the offseason. We can be a juggernaut like we can be. And this is where I thought we would be at this point in this rebuild. Like, I'll go ahead and put my hand up with a lot of this because I remember 3 years ago saying that this was a short rebuild. A rebuild with a sped up timeline is what I called it. And I can't say that right now. And so like, I think they can be good this year. They're not that far away from being good this year. And even if what happens with the prospects that have potential that we always know how well that works out. If that happens,
I'm so glad you said that. Not to interrupt you real quick, but I'm so glad you said that because that will bring me to my next point, but go ahead.
And I kind of know what your point is without even hearing it yet, but because I'm just sick and tired of, we've all been sick and tired of that kind of talk.
Mm-hmm.
But so if all those things do happen, yes, they have a chance to be good. And that's what we always have hope for as Cubs fans, that they will be good no matter what. But man, this is supposed to be a celebration of Sammy Sosa and everything. Like, the biggest fan growing up, man. My mom used to call me Joey Sosa as I was hitting and like 8, 9, 10 years old. Like, I'd come up to play Joey Sosa, and then kids in the league started calling me that shit.
Everybody fought over the number 21 on their little league teams.
A lot of people I feel like wanted that number, and man, I can't get as hyped of it because it's like you said, Tyler. It feels like they are shoving this down our throat now at this time, even though Sammy had to apologize, which to me is still fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure.
It just feels like this is not the right time for this. And next year, I'm going to let you make that point, but I know, next year too, it feels kind of like the same way. So now I'm back to the pessimistic side where I wasn't all fucking offseason. Thanks a lot, guys.
This year with Sammy Sosa, we'll say it right now. We said it a few episodes ago. This year, Sammy Sosa is going to be used to blanket everything. Next year is going to be the 10-year anniversary of the 2016 championship.
I 100% agree. And I hope
I agree with you,
wrong.
Joey. Yeah.
I hope we're wrong.
Oh, me too. But yeah, I agree with you, man. Because it's the same. It's like they should be doing enough to be a juggernaut, but they're not. They're doing just enough to say, hey, we're making moves, but you could be making better moves. But anyways, sorry.
Yeah. No, but yeah, curious about this prospect part. I want to see if it's exactly what I think it is. I know where your head is with the prospect part.
Ron, I feel like you're about to say something.
No, I'm just ready to talk about the next one because I got thoughts on that.
This brings me to my third point that I had. My third expectation, and I don't know if this is if it's an expectation or what I don't want to see that I've seen the last two times that we've been there. I don't want the prospects. I don't want the young guys. I don't want all of that shoved in my face. I don't. The last 2 years, it just feels like it's been, we made we made a couple of moves here and there, even though we could have we probably could have done this and this. But look at all these young guys we have. And look at all these. Oh, check out this cool YouTube video we have of this young guy. And check out this one. And check out this one. Look at all this. Ooh, and look at this one. And, oh, I see the next potential. Is that the next? Hey, Joey, is that the next Ron? That's the next Ronald Acuna right there. Oh, my God, Ron. Would you look at that? Oh, my God, that's Kerry Wood 2.0 right there. Shit, look at that. And that's what it feels like it's been the last 2 years is just – and no I get it. Matt Shaw – I'm interested to hear from him and hear about him, but I don't want him and the rest of the up and coming guys just shoved in our face all weekend. Because one, you're putting a lot of pressure on that guy. I guarantee you right now, Matt Shaw's probably thinking in his head, especially if they're not going to go after another third baseman, and especially if they trade Nico Horner, he's who knows, he could be thinking I've got to be that guy this year. I've got to fill that void. But even so, I'm so tired of the young guys shoved in our face for the last 2+ years now, and nothing's really been done with them. A couple of them have been promoted. Most of them haven't. That's just me, though.
Yeah. And the one guy that was shoved down our throat, Matt Mervis, where's he at?
Not even here now.
Nope. Vidal Brujan is who replaces him in the organization.
Dude, I'm all for like learning about the prospects. Like I think they deserve to have like a time to them, right? Like where we do get a chance to kind of meet them or meet some of them, or like you talk about them and just who they are, and it gives them a feel of like what Cubs fans are like too. And I think that's important. So like before, as they're kind of like developing and in this stage of like, hey, what is being a Cub all about? What is Wrigley all about? What's the fans all about? Like it gets them kind of closer to knowing what that could be when they eventually make it. Like I do think that's an important part too, and to familiarize yourself maybe for some of the even more casual fans that just don't watch minor league baseball or even keep up with it. I think it's important. But like you said, shoving it down your throat, stop. Like full stop. The major league team needs to be the highest priority at all times. Like this is all supposed to be a supplement to that. And so when you use it as a, hey, this is what we're going to be, people can see through that bullshit. And I think now we're finally starting to see through that. Even the most optimistic people.
I think this year's version of the prospect, because there is a like prospect related segment this year, but it's later in the afternoon. It's Road to Wrigley, and I think it's the panel style again. It's a couple of guys. I think they are starting to reel back off of that just a hair. But I will say this about that group this year. I think there is a Javier Assad type in this group of prospect attendees. And what I mean by that is a guy who probably doesn't get talked about enough around the organization, especially on a national level, but who might come up and surprise some people this year is Brandon Birdsell.
I'm not even lying when I say this. That was the name I guessed in my head that you were going to say, and I had no fucking idea who you were going to say.
Brandon Birdsell had a really good, like sneaky good year last year. He's going to be at CubsCon. So I'm interested to see if like they invite the guys every year. It feels like that they're going to give chances to almost, right? Like a Ben Brown who got a chance and, some of the other young guys. I think they could do that with a guy like Birdsell this year. I think there's a world where we see him. Is that why, Colin Ray and Matt Boyd were brought in instead? Maybe they just don't want to spend the money. It could go either way. He's a guy I'm kind of intrigued to watch. And not to say that, well, this is okay and you should shove the prospects down our throats then because you get to see this guy. Cool. If he works, great. But a prospect is a prospect until they are no longer a prospect. And I agree with you guys. I think it's, how are these guys going to help the major league team? I think Road to Wrigley is fine, but Road to Wrigley this year should be PCA, Michael Busch, the young guys that are already here. Focus on the now team. How are you going to be the next group? How are you going to help spearhead the next group into if they are truly selling? This is tell us what's going to happen now, not what. Don't kick the can 3 more years down the road. Mm-hmm. I think that's where I would like to see it go.
With all that kind of stuff, especially with Jed shoving the young guys down our throats and in our faces and everything like that, he may not be here next year.
Yeah.
So
gets a strong chance if he doesn't turn it around this year.
Yeah.
Lame duck situation we could be dealing with.
And this kind of plays in, I think, to how people feel about the prospects. And Tyler, Joey, correct me if I'm wrong. David says, still excited about the Cubs in 2025. Jed is sure not making it easy though to win the division. That's what that's what it will take in advancing the playoffs for them to think about signing Tucker.
I just don't think any of this should because Tucker himself will say no. So that's your biggest issue. If you don't show that you want to win, Tucker himself will say no.
For sure.
Flat out. Because he can get money from anybody.
Oh, he's going to get his money anywhere. Yeah. You don't think the Yankees are butthurt that they just lost Juan Soto to the Mets? They're going to do everything they can to get their next guy.
Kyle Tucker's getting Juan Soto money.
Earlier I said that his contract's going to start with at least a 4 or a 450. It could start with a 5 for all we know. And this team right now is in a spot where if they just could make more moves, could grab this division by the throat and just squeeze the life out of it, but they're not. And here's the thing. I don't care that the Brewers just lost Devin Williams and just lost Willy Adames. They're the best team in this. They're the number 1 team in this division until they're not, until they prove me otherwise, because they've been like that. They've been like that year in, year out ever since about 2018. Yeah, they have. You could argue that Christian Yelich is their superstar, quote unquote, but he's kind of taken a back. He's not the same guy that he was a few years ago. It still doesn't matter. They're scrappy. They know how to develop. They just have this way about developing their starters and everything like that. So in my mind, I don't care if whoever it was that predicted Chicago to have 87 wins. I'll believe it when they play the games. And then also with the Red, I mean, this division's not to get on a rant about the division, but you've got even the Pirates. Who wants to face Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and Mitch Keller in a 3-game series? You got the Reds, who we haven't figured out. They've had our number for the past 2+ years. And then the Cardinals, I get it, F the Cardinals, but I just don't see them having the same season they had last year. You can look at you can look at their roster. You can look at what they have, how they play last. I don't care. They're going to be in it too until they're not, until they prove me otherwise. So, yeah. And with that being said, Joey, back to your point, Kyle Tucker could very well look at that and just be like, well, hell, why would I want to sit here and watch and do this bullshit when I can just go to the Yankees or somebody else that I know they're going to spend money and stuff like that. So, yeah, I can see I can understand your frustration with that too, Joey.
Yeah, man. And he's like, and instead we're nickeling and diming him for his arbitration money when the guy, like you said, whatever number you're thinking that he's going to get in the open market. To me, he's worth 40+ million right now per year.
For sure.
And it's like, dude, great way to piss off and start those negotiations off. Well,
and I may have overspoke. I may have last episode, I may have been just pissed off in the moment. They aren't technically going to arbitration yet. There's still time.
Oh, okay.
There's still time. It's not a good look. And I know there's some people out there in Cubs land that are optimistic about this and are saying, it's not a big deal. And props to you for being optimistic about it. It's just, we've seen this song and dance. We've seen this. If it looks like it's like what my role model Stone Cold Steve Austin once said. If it looks like a jackass and smells like a jackass, it's probably a jackass. If it looks like some bullshit and smells like bullshit, it's probably bullshit. We've seen it. We've seen this before.
I saw some people comparing it to the Ian Happ situation where I think they did go to arbitration with him. And to me, that's a ridiculous comp in itself because Ian Happ was drafted by the Cubs, came up through the Cubs, had his own struggles, went back down, then found himself again with the Cubs coaching and development, and already had a great relationship with the Cubs. So it's a totally different situation. So I don't see the optimism on that side.
And no offense to Happ, but he's not Kyle Tucker.
No, absolutely
he's not. But I saw that too, Joe.
But he's making more than Kyle Tucker will this year.
You're right. You're right.
Which is another you think Ian Happ's better than me? Which of course they're going to pay as little as they can right now. But
yeah, sure.
It's like, come on.
I mean, in Ian Happ he's got a lot of connections here. He is anchored in Chicago, so that was another thing too, as far as just the contract situation. And yeah, you can say, well, see, that goes to show that money isn't everything, but with a guy like Kyle Tucker, you start seeing options thrown at you at $500 million and above. You could say whatever you want, but when you get that $500 million plus offer in front of you, and then someone's like, "Oh, wait a minute, here's $550 million." I mean, it's hard to. I've never been offered that amount of money, but I'm gonna bet it'd be hard to say no to $50 more million. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do a lot. You could do a lot with $50 more million.
Yeah. So, anyways, my next expectation or
the most epic rabbit hole adventure ever on this show, by the way, gentlemen. Bravo.
Oh,
that was very good. That was really, really good. Go ahead, Tyler. That was perfect, gentlemen. You let it boom, and beautiful.
Going to, Joey, we were talking about moves that maybe need to be made and not made. There's been a lot of rumors about a possible Nico Hoerner trade. We've heard it. Juice broke my heart at the end of 2023. At the end of 2023, when he had that awesome season, we all were like, yeah, I was getting captain vibes and stuff. And then Juice threw out that freaking comment about possibly trading him. And I was like, no. So anyway, so here we are. I want to know the health status of Nico Hoerner. And I'm sure we'll probably get it night one. I just want to know, where he's at, where his mindset's at, stuff like that. But I kind of want to know, because ever since he had his surgery, we really haven't heard much. I think we've heard that it may last into part of the 2025 season. I may be wrong on that, but yeah, I just want to see where he's at. I know it's nothing big or anything, but I just want to know.
No,
what do you guys think?
It's important.
Yeah.
An important note indeed, because I think,
I mean, if he comes walking on stage with a freaking sling or something,
right.
Well, hell, he's not getting traded. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. He's been probably the number one name in most trade rumors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's this year's Kyle Hendricks, because I know last year heading into the season we were like really concerned about Kyle's health, I think, at CubsCon, and then we did get some updates, which was nice to hear too. So I'm with you, Tyler. That's a great point. I hope we do hear something,
Yeah.
positive or otherwise, like whatever just an update, something.
Yeah, because we can sit here and do all this. We can do all these trade ideas we want, and everybody said, "Oh, Nico Horner to the Mariners for Luis Castillo. We want Castillo," and then people have been throwing in Pablo Sanchez from the Twins and everything like that. But by God, if he comes walking out in a dang cast, sling, whatever you want to call it, and he's just, I'll be ready by then. I'm sorry, but I just feel like a lot of teams probably aren't going to want to make a trade for that guy.
I'll see you by Memorial Day.
Yeah, I'll see you at the trade deadline. Maybe let me know. And even if he is held, it's like, well, let me see how you're doing at the beginning of the season, because I'm not going to give you up a guy like Luis Castillo or whoever, Logan Gilbert, or I'm just throwing out names that people have said in the past with the Mariners. They're not going to do that. So yeah, I just like to see the health status of Nico Horner. And finally, kind of just going on with making moves and stuff like that. Do you guys remember the first CubsCon we went to, that Saturday night? We were in the lobby at the bar. We're all at that table drinking and just having a good time. I think we were watching the Jaguars playoff game. Those two friends that met up, they're sitting with us eating. I think Cole Wright was eating or came by and said hey to us. And it was just epic. And you guys remember that alert that we all got at the same time? Who was it, Joey?
Well, last year was
No, the first year.
Was it Mancini the first year?
It was Trey Mancini.
Yeah, duh.
And we all went nuts because there we were sitting there talking about the season and all this and that. And I think, Ron, you were like, Trey Mancini. And like, at the time, I know now, guys. I know what happened. But at the time, we were all just like, yeah, Trey Mancini, let's go. And we went nuts. And like 2 months later, he was gone.
We're excited, though.
My fifth expectation is I need, guys, a surprise transaction. That can be an acquisition. Maybe we pick somebody off the free agents. And one guy that I think is better than Trey Mancini, even now, a pitcher that I would love my phone to highlight and say this guy, just me, maybe, Max Scherzer. But anyways, I want a surprise acquisition transaction, whether it's, again, an acquisition, maybe a surprise extension to who. I mean, I don't even have to say who it is. But I want a surprise transaction. Friday night, Saturday night, it doesn't matter. Gotta have it.
Can I ask a question too? Not to cut off this at all.
Yeah.
Did you want Verlander? Like, were you interested in like a 1-year Verlander deal? I know that he's already signed somewhere, but because to me they're kind of like this.
They are similar.
Same, but similar.
I like. There's something about Scherzer that has. And speaking of like guys like that, I've also heard Kyle Gibson thrown in. I've heard people throw Kyle Gibson's name around.
Kyle Gibson is the pitching version of Brian Roberts. He's been a Cub for the last 7 years.
Yeah. 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 There's something about Max Scherzer. Justin Steele we saw it a little bit last year, that fire / FU about him. We saw a little bit of that. Max Scherzer, I think you get a guy like Max Scherzer on this rotation with this pitching staff. I think he has the most FU about himself. He's what is he, 40 years old? He wants to play. I feel like a better version of John Lackey, because John Lackey had that FU about him. I guarantee you John Lackey was that guy that fired up the boys every now and then. And right now, yeah, you've got and
Lackey,
Justin.
Lecky would piss me off like no end sometimes.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
When
And-
he'd
and
come
see,
off
just-
complaining about refs and fucking foul poles and wind. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
But he did. He
Um,
had that fuck you to him.
But a little side fun fact: I met him at a bar on July 4th after a start that he had in 2016 against the Reds, that he got thrown out of.
Oh,
And it was
damn.
hilarious because he was
Electric.
drunk. He was drunk off his ass. But anyways, I just feel like Max Scherzer in that locker room, in that clubhouse. Yeah, Justin Steele had some FU about him. He's even said too, like he don't get mad often. He doesn't, and he's also a guy that kind of lightens the mood. But you get a guy like Scherzer that at 40 years old, I don't care how much money he's made and everything like that. He seems like he's that guy that still wants to prove something. And you give that guy a 1-year contract and just watch what happens. It also wouldn't surprise me if he was one of those guys that didn't sign until maybe sometime during the season because he doesn't want to go to spring training. I don't know that. I'm just you see that a lot, especially in older players. But I don't know. I just feel him penciled in. I don't know if I don't think he's your number 2. I would say, oh, you pencil in between Steele and Imanaga, but having a guy like that, man,
He's probably your 4.
he
Just
would be your
for
4,
your
but
left, right.
but in his mind, every day he starts, it's game 1. It's game 1 of whatever it is. I mean, you've seen those videos of him. He's got a guy down 2 strikes, and he's talking to himself. Like you guys need to go back and there's a video of him when he was with the Nationals, I think, and he's sitting there about to pitch, and in his windup, he's looking at the guy, and he's just like, "F you, mother effer!" Like it's like give me a bottle of that, man, and I'll chug it.
It's just all piss and vinegar. Piss and vinegar.
Yeah, but yeah, a surprise transaction is what I want.
Who do you,
Surprise transaction would be electric.
who do
Who do
you
you
think
got,
that
if you could pick a surprise? And I mean, yeah, everybody would love Kyle Tucker extension. I don't. Gosh, that would be awesome too. But who's a surprise? Who's your Trey Mancini edition at CubsCon this year, guys?
I didn't really think about this.
Something realistic too, not like, oh, I'd love a trade for, Shohei Ohtani, not like, something that could actually happen.
I know this is going to sound kind of unrealistic. Well, they could definitely get more bullpen help, but I'm going to say if like this guy signs or there's something worked out, Pete Alonso would be like my shit the pants type moment. But I do think that like a
pretty
Yohan
quiet.
Moncada is more realistic. Like
Who's that? Oh, you said Makata?
Moncada would be like a more realistic, like Trey Mancini type of like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, he's like a bounce back candidate type season, and we still would probably get excited for it, but like a little bit excited. But Alonso would make me lose my shit.
Yeah.
You know who we're gonna get?
Who we're getting, Ron?
We're getting Kyle Finnegan.
Okay.
They're gonna finally sign a bullpen arm. He's gonna sign for, I'll call it $7 million for one
Okay.
season, maybe a mutual option for the second year. They like building in the options. Colin Rea, for example, we haven't even gotten to the news yet, obviously, but $5 million. I think that's comparable, but I can see a Kyle Finnegan where people are like, yeah, he's got a 3.79 ERA as a closer, but he saved like 38 games last year. Like, it's going to be this weird sense of optimism that I think relates perfectly to Trey Mancini. And that's why I think it's going to be Kyle.
It's going to happen at midnight, and we're all going to just flip our shit and just go
At
nuts.
midnight. Ron, you called it. Finnegan. Shots for everybody. Shots for everybody. Yeah.
It's going to be us.
Who's wearing the mankini if that happens?
Nick.
The Finnegan.
Nick. Okay.
What do we call it? We got to call it something. The Finnegan.
The Finnegan fanny pack.
The Finkini.
It's got to be the Finkini. It's got to be Irish, right? We got to do like an Irish car bomb at the bar. We have to. If Finnegan signs, I'm buying Irish car bombs for all of us.
All right.
Oh, Christ. I don't like the sound of that. Now I
That
think I-
late at night,
first
Ron's
off.
like, fuck that.
Speaking of quick beer updates, Joey, we want to get a quick comment here before we
Oh, hell yeah, I'm excited.
continue into some of the news. Are you more excited about CubsCon or Yingling now being sold in the state of Illinois?
Sorry, CubsCon, Yingling, 100% hands down. Tried and true right here. Red, white, and blue. America's oldest brewery. Hashtag crack 'em.
Joey's so excited. I love a good
no free
Yingling.
ads, right?
Right. Well, we're
No,
going to be
of course
brand ambassadors soon. I'm still making the calls.
Let's go. Let's go.
I like your optimism, Joey. Tyler, nice job on the 5 must-haves. I hope we get a couple of those.
Yeah.
I think that would be hysterical, just for sake of being able to compare. And speaking of things that are being compared, we have a comment here from Jeremiah saying there's rumors on the Cubs linking Bregman on a similar deal comparison to what Cody Bellinger got a year ago from the Cubs. And there have been rumors that they've been quote unquote interested if he's willing to take a shorter term deal, somewhere between 1 and 3 years. Probably could go 3 years with opt-ins, opt-outs, etc., etc. Again, a belly contract, so to speak, as Jeremiah said. Guys, I was trying to articulate my thoughts in written form on this topic tonight. I simply couldn't. So I kicked this around as a conversation to maybe get the juices flowing. Do we really believe this is anything serious? Do we think this is the biggest bullshit? Just throw something in the wind to see if his price goes up a little bit?
Mhm.
Because that's
Eight.
really what it feels like to me.
Agent
Who's
talk.
Alex Bregman's agent? Is it Scott Boras?
Yes.
This this when you hear, I tweeted it this morning, casual conversations. I have casual conversations when I'm taking a dump in the mornings. It's much ado about nothing. It is a classic. It's
Are
one
these
of these classic
conversations with
Scott Boras-
people?
I mean, like, okay, at work we have 2 stalls, and
Oh,
so,
okay. That makes sense.
come on.
that
Who knows,
does
maybe
make
you
sense.
have a phone call or something. I don't care. I ain't scared. I'm married now. We're good. I'm
No, yeah. It's normal.
fart wherever I want to fart. I don't care. Poop where
Scoop the poop.
yeah, not to play. Anyways, this is another classic, and John Heyman gets pissed off every time somebody calls him out on this. This is just, let me throw this out there. Let me throw this. Oh, the Cubs are having casual conversations about a short-term deal to get other teams. And I still think Bregman's a Red Sox. I really do. I don't know why. I've heard him, and I've heard them and the Tigers. And I feel this is one of those typical moves to get one of those 2 teams to up the ante, to up their offer and stuff like that. I just don't. Yeah, it would be awesome to have Bregman here at third base, but it's just, it is a fart in the wind. It is nothing more than that. And it is a classic. Let me throw this out there to get these other 2 teams that are really interested. Hey, we may go over here to the Cubs on this short-term deal. If
He's coming back.
you guys don't want to, $1 million. Oh, that's okay. I'm like you, Ron. I'm just like we were talking about pre-show. I thought about writing something about this, but I feel like it just was just nothing. I don't buy it. Don't believe it.
Yeah, it feels like there's no truth.
What's the biggest concern with Bregman as a player that the team might have? What's the biggest concern, would you guys say?
I think
If
the
there
biggest
is
concern is he's looking for money like when he was the 7 WAR player back in like 2018. But now he's like a high 4 WAR player, and he's probably closer to like Ian Happ than he is to, the next big thing.
And with that, Ron, is there a little backlash still left with the whole trash can scandal? Because in 2018,
Maybe.
when you said he had that war, well, that was when they were banging all them trash cans and
Mm.
stuff. He's still a good player. Hell, he won a Gold Glove last year. He hit. I don't think he had quite 30 home runs, but
And don't get me wrong, Tyler. Like, he was still like a 4.6 WAR player last year.
Yeah,
Like, that's really good.
which is
That would
good.
still improve the Cubs, but I think the money that has been floated around is suggesting like, oh, he's still like the best third baseman in baseball, where right now it's more like, hey, you're still a really good player,
Oh yeah.
but maybe he has
Like
to prove
I
himself
think
again
Boyd
like that.
going
Chad.
around and he sees contracts like, okay, you've got the Baez contract, you've got the Chris Bryant contract, and he's probably floating around like, yeah, if those two guys got that, then Bregman's definitely getting that at least. And I think he's looking at other contracts like that that may not have even panned out like they should or people want them to. But I think that's also maybe he's just shooting the moon for a price, and which I think what the Astros, I don't even think the Astros offered him 200 million. I want to say they offered him like 160 over, I don't know, was it like 6 years or something? Do you guys remember that? They announced, I mean,
Yeah, it was like reported like we have offered Alex Bregman an extension for 6 years, 160 million.
yeah,
If he wants it, he can take it.
yeah.
He's
So
projected right now at 6 mil or 6 years, 170. So that's not too far off. I mean, that's
No, it's not bad.
That's
Bad
not-
number.
which is crazy to think because what did Baez get, like 2 something?
bias.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bobby
ooh,
got
that's
crazy amount
terrible.
of money.
It was nuts. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I asked that, guys, is like as far as like what's the biggest concern with him?
Bobby
I
got
think-
140. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. 6
No.
years, 140.
No, you're good. Yeah, and a lot of people thought that it was a decent deal for who Javi was at the time, but you had to understand too that Javi was very vulnerable or like could have a down, like he's volatile. So like people needed to realize that going into that contract, and apparently the Tigers were just, I don't know, they just wanted to go all in on it because I think they have a hard time really getting free agents to go there now, especially now that they've been past their winning kind of tunnel for a while back when they had like, Verlander and those guys. But now they're starting to get a little bit good again. But anyways, not about the Tigers. With Bregman, I feel like a lot of people's concern, the reason why I asked that is how is he going to hit outside of Houston without like the Crawford boxes and, pulling the ball, kind of similar to a guy that pulls the ball a lot that we just traded, the third baseman Paredes that we just let go, who's a really big pull type of hitter. How is he going to hit outside of Houston? But the thing is, the reason why I don't think he's going to take one of those short-term, large dollar amount per year, but opt-out type of contracts, with, yearly opt-outs or whatever, like a Bellinger type deal, is because even when he's had his down years, like he's only really had 2 elite years from a power standpoint, 18 and 19. Outside of that, he has a very long, consistent track record of being a very good player. So like, he's not a high concern, or a high question mark, like a Bellinger is, who could fluctuate and go very high, very bottom drop out, very low, where a Bellinger really needed a prove it deal type. And even then wanted more of a long-term and wanted to prove that it wasn't just a fluke the one season before they re-signed him last year. So I think that's why he did that. But like a Bregman, I don't see him really improving his stock that much at this stage of his career from a 1-year type of opt-out or 2-year, 3-year deal and an opt-out situation. I don't see him improving his stock all that much. So why not just take the money now as like a 6-year contract and say, hey, I'm good. Whatever team wants to pay it, let's go. Like,
I agree.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see if that progresses any further forward. But I know that's the big hot name, and we certainly had to bring it up, gentlemen. Another noteworthy piece. We talked pre-show about trades. Miles Mastrobuoni being traded for cash, Michael Arias being traded for cash, but really the big news recently was Colin Rea was a blockbuster move. No, in all reality, Colin Rea, 1 year, $5 million. There is a club option for a second year. Had a really nice year with the Milwaukee Brewers last year. And he's a guy that the Cubs have familiarity with, as does Craig Counsell from his time in Milwaukee, because Rea has been there since 2021, right after he was a Cub in 2020. How do we feel about this? And do we think Colin Rea could potentially be the number 5 starter in this Cubs rotation coming up this year?
I mean, if he's the starter, does that mean the $30 million man, Matt Boyd, isn't a starter?
Is he
I don't know.
four?
I mean, it's a nice little, and I hate using this word, especially with this team. It's a nice cheap pickup for $5 million. I mean, and yeah, would you say 170 plus innings? Was that last year?
I think it was 164 and
164. That's nice. And you're probably going to have, there's going to be a stretch. It's kind of like last year with Kyle Hendricks when we were like, and we talked about it on here. There's going to be a time this season where we're going to need those innings. And I think you could say the same thing about Colin Ray. It's, you fill out the starting rotation, and after Steele, Ibanaga, Tyon, Assad, that fifth spot. It's
I think Assad might not even start this year.
And I hate thinking that, but I can see that too, Ron. I can see him being the guy that it's the same shit this year of just, we're going to bounce you here and there. We're not really sure what to call you on the roster, whether you're a starter or a reliever. And that sucks to say because he's been a good starter for the past 2 years now.
He's been a good starter, but he has been better out of the bullpen statistically.
True.
For what that's worth.
But I still have more confidence in Javier Assad starting than a Matthew Boyd. And I know a lot of people are big on Matthew Boyd, and I know there's people big on Colin. Am I saying his name right? Colin Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Colin
Ray.
I think it's
Colin
Ray.
Ray.
I think it's Ray. I don't know.
It just sucks that, again, it was a good cheap pickup. And I hate using that word just because of who we are.
Yeah, I wasn't excited about it. I hope if there's one guy that I feel like has earned his spot as a starter compared to the other one. I mean, we saw Colin Ray fall off the table in the second half of the season last year. Javier Assad, he would have his bumps in the road, but for the most part, man, the guy was so solid. Like, I would prefer to give him a starting rotation spot over Ray, and I don't think he really needs to earn it. Like, even looking at his career, like, Ron, I know you said stats-wise, his reliever, you're right, his reliever role, he's been stronger, 3.18 ERA. As a starter, 3.45 though, and he's got almost 200 more innings as a starter. So like that 3.45 ERA to me is still really impressive as a 4-5 starter. I'll take that all day long. A guy like Colin Ray, I'm like, going to a new team, number one, he stays in division, of course, but I don't have that kind of faith. This wasn't a move where I'm like, oh, hey, we have the rotation all solidified anyways. Neither was Matthew Boyd. Like, I would ideally, like you said, Tyler, look into the rest of that market. Go get whether that's a Scherzer or a Flaherty or there's got to be somebody out there, or the Luis Castillo types, like on the trade market. Like, they need a legitimate number 3. Because I think we all kind of feel like as great of a year and bounce back that the bounce back was better than we expected from JMO. But like, we kind of thought he might bounce back. As good of a year as he had, now I expect him to have kind of a little bit of a decline as
Sure.
So you
could almost, I hate to say it, but you could almost say that about Imanaga.
It's true.
I hope not.
No, you absolutely can, because a lot of those games that he was pitching in, the weather, we don't know what the weather is going to play like, but there were times where he was giving up some fly balls and the wind was just blowing in, and he did get a little bit lucky on some of those. And then he still gave up a shit ton of homers, and the home runs that he gave up, the guys just weren't on base and there weren't critical situations. So, I mean, as good as Imanaga was, is he legitimately a 1-2 like he pitched like last year without the strikeouts and with the fly balls? Like, they need another pitcher, in my opinion.
I would say Ray is a nice depth piece.
Yeah.
I would say that they need a number 2 quality pitcher, another number 2 quality pitcher in the starting rotation, and not just these depth pieces here and there that, they've shown signs of this and that. That's why we always you hear everybody on Twitter talking about the Pablo Lopez trade ideas and the Luis Castillo trade ideas and insert whoever else. That's because I still think they're missing another top starter, and that's crazy. I know that's crazy to say, especially how their rotation was last year. But Ron, you said it when you've got a guy like Assad who may possibly end up starting the season in the bullpen. I'm sorry, I don't trust Matt Boyd. I really don't.
I don't
I
either.
hope. I know Juice was very optimistic on him. I know there's a lot of other guys out there that are very optimistic about him. Maybe he's your left-handed bullpen guy by the trade deadline. Maybe he's that guy after the All-Star break. I don't know. I don't trust. I really don't. And I hope you guys come back and tell me how wrong I was on that.
Well,
But I still think they're missing a number 2 level starter.
here's the thing too, Tyler. Like, even if you do have high hopes for Matthew Boyd, which we saw with the potential that he has, he's pitched well enough in years past before getting injured, and then he made some tweaks, and then he came back last year and he actually was really good down the stretch. But even if you do think that that's going to kind of continue or be kind of similar, you shouldn't rely on it because it's not something that is a proven commodity in this league. Like at some point, there comes a time where you need to go and get proven commodities in this league. So no matter what kind of high hopes the front office has, I'm sorry, but if your whole plan is around guys who we think could be good, the plan is not a good plan. Like,
Yeah, you're almost, it's almost like you're kind of playing a little scared. Oh, we're just trying to get into the playoffs. We're not really trying to, like I said earlier, we're not really trying to grab everybody else in the division by the throat. We're just trying to get in. If we roll it right, and if we can roll it right, and we get 7 on this roll this season, oh man, that's great. But yeah, I agree, Joey. I agree.
Yeah, it's something certainly.
But back to what you're saying, yeah, Rhea was a nice cheap depth piece.
And it is Ray. I was wrong,
Ray.
so I apologize. You guys were correct. It is Ray. So, gentlemen, one more thing we have to get to in the show, but I do want to share a couple of quick comments. We got an effort. Sasaki go to the Padres, do a one-stop shop, and get Cease and Suarez.
I wouldn't hate
San
that.
Diego.
Wouldn't hate
That
it.
would be interesting.
That would be nice.
Would be kind of fun. Would be intriguing. And thank you, Joe. I've worked very hard on this beard. I appreciate that, and we'll see you.
Hey, I look forward to their booth. The rumor has it.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on the socials that they have some pretty cool shirts. It looks like that they're going to be selling at CubsCon. I may have to. We know we will. We always do it. We've done it the last.
Always
few
stop
years.
by and say hi to
Oh, yeah.
Joe.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we have one more thing we have to go through.
Mhm.
We have to go through Juice's written thoughts that he provided us.
Oh yeah.
mm,
So for people, for quick context, this is no shot at Juice. Juice doesn't write ever, never. Juice is audio only, baby. But he wrote down his thoughts for us. So Juice has been traveling a lot for other obligations. We miss having him on the mic with us. He's doing well, but he will not be able to join us at
Juice.
CubsCon. So he's got thoughts, and they're fun. I read them already. I think I'm the only person in the world besides Juice that knows what these are. But here we go. Bear with me. It's a little lengthy. It's a full page. From the offices of Juice.
love it. Love the start.
Guys, I cannot begin to describe how jealous I am of all of you being at the Cubs convention this weekend. Stupid work is getting in the way, and I'm stuck in New Orleans for the weekend. What a terrible place to be stuck in. I will miss the Sheridan Bar Talks and the Cubs legends who all come around to chat and have a drink. P.S. Bingo has always been lame, per Juice. My thoughts on the offseason are as such, and this is where he answered my question, gentlemen, as we talked pre-show. Juice answered a question of mine that I had from this offseason. Thoughts on the offseason are as such. Fuck. Yeah, fuck. We are fucked. As I sit here writing this today, I don't see routes to use the saved belly money that are worth it. They have dumped money and have sat too long in the market with a chance to spend. I think you are now forced to dip into the trade market yet again to fix the bullpen because he does not believe they have done enough there. In addition, so I'm left thinking, quote, why are they dumping money and not adding players, end quote. Is it because Ricketts are cheap? Is it because Jed doesn't have the cojones to sign anyone long term? Or is it because they truly are smarter than everyone and a major league lockout is on the horizon and they are positioning themselves for that? Either way you slice it, there's no excuse for it. And while I protected this franchise's tentative approach to free agents, I'm starting to tire of it. I used to be the optimistic one of the group, and he just cannot anymore. There's Central Division to be won, and the mighty Cubs seem to be enamored with their bottom line. This franchise hasn't won a playoff game since 2017 and hasn't had a chance to win one since the bullshit COVID year. And that's just not acceptable. So my request for you all going into the CubsCon is this: boo the shit out of upper management for me. Tom, Laura, Todd, Jed, Carter, Crane, they all deserve an uncomfortable Cubs convention this year. Maybe then the dedicated fan base will get the ball club that we deserve. But probably not, because Tom will just bathe in $100 bills to ease the pain. So that's pretty much all I got for you boys. Thanks for letting me vent, and make sure you don't lose Joey. Signed, Juice.
Very nice.
I love that.
Poetic Juice.
That's
It
very-
might get published on the website. That's how good it is. It was fun.
It was.
Good.
I think it's the perfect summation of everything we talked about here tonight,
Yeah.
of where the mindset is going into CubsCon, what people want to see. There's a lot of frustrated Cubs fans right now within this fan base, and I think people are ready for a team to start doing something and start winning some
I hope
games.
I like his as far as booing everybody. I just hope this year isn't full of a lot of first timers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if that was the case, it's probably I don't know. And maybe who knows? Maybe maybe there'll be a lot of first timers there for that same reason that Juice has. Is I want to come here and boo the crap out of everybody.
Maybe.
I tell you what kind of really scares me about his poetic thoughts.
Poetic
is the
juiceness.
the poetic juiceness. Do you really think they could be cutting payroll? Because if the season started today, their payroll would be smaller than last year's. What if they are cutting payroll because they know there's another MLB lockout on the horizon?
Man.
Maybe.
Oh man, that's juice for you, man.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He's always 3 steps ahead in his life.
Yeah, that's
On effort.
gosh. Yeah,
Juice is the business analytical mind of the operation.
he is. You're right. He is. He's
That's
always
just what
thinking.
Juice
Yeah,
does.
but
He's
that
got
just
the thoughts.
that sucks. But that could be so true. And you
Could
know
be.
what? You know what? You know what? During baseball operations panel, let's ask them.
Wish we
That
could
would
do it
be
in the business operations panel, but
No, I think player is fine though, because those guys have enough scoop where maybe they'll at least comment on it. of
But
like,
isn't
well,
Jed doing it? Oh, isn't Jed doing
oh,
a
Jed,
panel?
we could ask for sure. Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
Jed, is the reason that you're like handcuffed with spending are you guys like trying to cut payroll because there's possibly another MLB lockout? And just hear him go, yeah, I don't think, no, we're just trying to pick the right guy. Prospects and Sosa, prospects and Sosa. That's what it's good. Prospects and Sosa.
We haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything yet.
Haven't heard nothing, but here's Sammy Sosa.
here's-
Ask Tom in the steakhouse.
Did you guys talk to Matt? Shaw?
$200 a plate.
Gentlemen, a final thought from each of you, prompted by Jeremiah. He says, "Off the mound with Ryan Dempster is his favorite segment. What is your favorite CubsCon segment that you're looking forward to this weekend?"
Give me a second to think about it. There's a few good ones. You know what? I don't know if it's my favorite, but I always enjoy it. I really like the kids asking the questions, man. I do. It's fun to hear like what some of the questions are and just how the players react. Not always, but like I do enjoy the kids one. It just gives you that other sense of like, hey, I remember what it was like when I was a kid and how awesome this would be if we were here. You know,
say that, Joey, but I kind of want to like walk up to some of those kids and be like, hey, kids, don't get suckered into this too much, because when you get older, you're going to realize how much of a business this really is. So
Which kid is
Good
Tyler
point.
giving a $20 bill to and saying, "Hey,
Oh, yeah.
go up and ask this question"?
oh
ask
God,
about the strike. Ask about the possible strike. Here's $20 right here.
Ask how
Ask him,
much money.
Take this $20 and be like, "Hey Jed, will this help with Kyle Tucker's extension? This is all my family and I have left." You know, I'll give him like a sheet or something to put over him. Like that's all he had. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Took it to a darker
Help me,
quarter.
sir.
Wait, what's the sheet?
I don't know. Just like just
Oh
don't
my
know.
god. Make him,
Tyler.
make him look like he's on the verge of homelessness.
oh yeah. Favorite
Tyler,
segment?
what's your favorite segment?
I think, well, at least because the last 2 years they've had it. The first night, seeing the reaction of the Hall of Famers when they make it, I think that's pretty cool. Just because, you know, even if it is just with the organization and not with MLB, still that's pretty special to have that. I think last year's was Kerry Wood and Aramis Ramirez, and Kerry Wood. I mean, it was just, and then the year before, I believe, what, Mark Grace,
Grace
and
I will
Grace
say-
and Sean Dunston.
Grace, I think he was there last year too. Every time Grace is on, that's like one of my favorites. Grace was awesome.
Yeah, because Grace is just unfiltered. He don't care. Same way with Rick Sutcliffe. They're both they're awesome.
Unfiltered.
But I would say probably the Hall of. I don't know. I know I guess it's not technically a segment, but just I don't know. It's
It's
just
part
cool
of
seeing
opening
that.
night. It's a part of the
it's
opening
cool. It's just so cool seeing that. Just to see their reactions, just to know that, you know, they work their whole lives to do that, and they get to, and they're still remembered for it. They're still they still get recognition for it. So
Oh, definitely. Definitely. 100%. Gentlemen, my favorite. So in years past, and it will still be something I'm excited about this year, is truly the compound with live with Ian Happ. Ian Happ's got a position in baseball media if he wants it post playing career. Like for good. I think he's really done a good job with it, and it's fun, and it's you get to hear these interviews, and there's fun stories told, like the Grace interaction with Belly from a few, you know, from that season, and you know, he's like, "Damn, I can never hit 40 home runs out of this place." You know, just little chuckles like that. You get those little sound bites that you probably normally wouldn't get otherwise. But I will say one thing I am looking forward to: my broadcasting nerdism. There was a broadcasting 101 segment with Mr. Miguel Esparza that I would like to go to. So that's what I'm looking forward to probably most is want to hear from Miguel and what it's like and making those big calls. We got to talk to him a little bit at a past Cubs Con, and we've been trying to actually get him as a guest on the show. Maybe we'll be able to re-ask him about being on and chatting Cubbies with us, but very excited about that nonetheless. Gentlemen, quickly before we get out of here, I want to remind everybody the Cubs on Tap, 1 or 2 shows here at the Cubs, or at the On Tap Sports Network, covering your Chicago Cubs. That is, we are at Cubbies on Tap. Of course, follow our friends over at Dinger Cubs on the socials. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button on YouTube. Follow all of us as well. We're going to be posting a bunch of stuff at CubsCon. Take a look. Dial in with us. We'll probably end up doing a show from CubsCon. There's already been chatter. We'll have some fun. Tune along with us if you aren't able to make it. And if you are able to make it, we'd love to see you. We'd love to come talk to you and chat with everybody else. Gentlemen, I'm looking forward to seeing the two of you this weekend.
as a
It's going to be a lot of fun.
cannot wait.
Cannot
fun.
wait.
Yep.
What do you say, boys? We get out here the only way we know how for the last time before
hey.
CubsCon?
If you guys see us at CubsCon, especially Friday night, Saturday night, when we're down in the lobby drinking beers and just talking and stuff, come down, chat with us, drink with us, vent with us, and then finally we can all say at the end of the night together in perfect drunk harmony, F the Cardinals.
That'll be way better than whatever karaoke is going on. There will not be a karaoke better than that. Fuck the Cardinals. I'm ready for this weekend, boys.
That's debatable, especially if Ron Luce sings karaoke by the end of Saturday night. And on that note, let's go Cubbies.